Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This is part 33 of TAFSEER Al-SAADI. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. يا أيها الناس كلوا مما في الأرض حلالا طيبا ولا تتبعوا خطوات الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين. O humankind, eat whatever is lawful and good on earth, and do not follow the footsteps of the shaitan, for he is to you an avowed enemy. إنما يأمركم بالسوء والفحشاء وأن تقولوا على الله ما لا تعلمون. For he only commands you to do evil and shameful deeds, and to say concerning Allah that of which you have no knowledge. وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمُ اتَّبِعُوا مَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ قالوا بل نتبع ما ألفينا عليه آباءنا أولو كان آباؤهم لا يعقلون شيئا ولا يهتدون. When it is said to them, follow what Allah has revealed, they say, nay, we will follow the ways of our forefathers. Would they do that even though their forefathers did not understand a thing and were not guided? This is addressed to all people, believers and disbelievers alike, reminding them of Allah's blessings to them and instructing them to eat from everything that is on earth, such as grains, crops, fruits, and animals, so long as it is lawful, halal. That is, it is permissible for you to eat, and it has not been usurped or stolen, acquired by means of a prohibited transaction or in a forbidden manner, and that it is not used to help in committing forbidden actions. Good, halalan, tayyiba, good, tayyiba, that is, it is not evil or filthy, not khabith, such as dead meat, blood, the flesh of swine, and all other unclean things, This verse indicates that the basic principle is that things are permissible to eat and make use of, and that what is forbidden is of two types. Either that which is forbidden in and of itself, which is evil, or filthy things that are the opposite of good, or it is forbidden for some other reason, namely its connection to the rights of Allah or to the rights of people. This is the opposite of what is permissible. It also indicates that one may eat as much of something haram as is necessary to survive. This is obligatory, and the one who does not do that is sinning. When Allah commanded them to follow what He enjoined upon them, which is in their own best interest, He forbade them to follow the footsteps of shaitan. وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا خُطُوَاتِ الشَّيْطَانِ. That is, to follow the ways that He enjoins. This refers to all sins, such as disbelief, evil doing, and transgression. That also includes the prohibition of the sa'iba and ham and the like. That also includes the prohibition of the sa'iba and ham and the like. The sa'iba and ham are types of camels, that were set loose to pasture freely in honor of idols during the Jahiliyyah, the pre-Islamic period of ignorance, and it was forbidden to make use of them. That also includes eating haram, forbidden goods. إِنَّهُ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌ مُبِينٌ. For he is to you an avowed enemy. That is, his enmity is blatant. All he wants to do is deceive you. All he wants to do is deceive you and cause you to become among the inhabitants of hell. Our Lord did not only forbid us to follow his footsteps, rather he also told us, and he is the most truthful, of his enmity, of which we should be aware. Furthermore, he told us details of what the shaitan wants to make. He told us details of what the shaitan wants to make us to do, and that it is the most reprehensible and evil of things. إِنَّمَا يَأْمُرُكُمْ بِالسُّوءِ, for he only commands you to do evil. That is, any bad deed that harms the one who does it. That includes all kinds of sins. وَالْفَحْشَاءِ, and shameful deeds. This is an example of mentioning specific matters after having spoken in general terms, because shameful deeds are one type of sin and evil that is extremely abhorrent. Shameful deeds are one type of sin and evil that is extremely abhorrent, such as fornication or adultery, drinking alcohol, murder, slander, miserliness, and other deeds that any wise person would regard as abhorrent. وَأَن تَقُولُوا عَلَى اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ, and to say concerning Allah that of which you have no knowledge. This includes speaking about Allah's laws and decrees without knowledge. The one who ascribes to Allah something that he has not ascribed to himself, or that his Messenger ﷺ has not ascribed to him, or denies an attribute that Allah has affirmed of himself, that Allah has affirmed for himself, or affirms an attribute that Allah has denied for himself, has spoken about Allah without knowledge. The one who claims that Allah has an equal, and that idols will bring the one who worships them closer to Allah, has spoken about Allah without knowledge. The one who says that Allah has permitted or prohibited specific things, or that he has enjoined or forbidden specific things without any understanding, has spoken about Allah without knowledge. The one who says that Allah created a specific type of creatures for a specific reason without having any evidence to that effect, has spoken about Allah without knowledge. One of the most serious kinds of speaking about Allah without knowledge is misinterpreting his words or those of his Messenger ﷺ in such a way that coincides with the interpretation of some misguided people, then saying that this is what Allah meant. Speaking about Allah without knowledge is one of the most serious of prohibited actions and one of the most favored methods of the shaitan who promotes it. These are the ways of the shaitan to which he and his troops call people, doing their utmost to tempt people in whatever ways they can. In contrast, Allah Azza wa Jal enjoins justice, kindness, and generosity towards relatives, and he forbids shameful deeds, injustice, and transgression. So that individual must check himself and see which of the two callers he is following and which party he is with. So the individual must check himself and see which of the two callers he is following and which party he is with. Are you following the caller of Allah, who is benevolent and wants happiness for you in this world and the hereafter? For success and salvation are to be found in following him, and you have everything to gain from forming an attachment to him. For he grants all blessings, both obvious and hidden. He enjoins only what is good and forbids only what is evil. Or are you following the caller of the shaitan, who is the enemy of humanity? He wishes you ill and is striving his utmost to bring you destruction in this world and in the hereafter. All evil is in obeying him, and all loss results from taking him as a friend. He enjoins nothing but evil and forbids nothing but good. Then Allah tells us of the situation of the polytheists when they were commanded to follow that which Allah had revealed to his Messenger ﷺ, as described above. They turned away from that and said, بل نتبع ما وجدنا عليه آباءنا. Nay, we will follow the ways of our forefathers. They were content to blindly follow the ways of their forefathers, and they had no interest in believing in the prophets. Moreover, their forefathers were the most ignorant of people and the most misguided. And this is a flimsy argument for rejecting the truth. This is indicative of their turning away from the truth, their lack of interest in it, and the absence of any fair-mindedness in them. If they were guided and had good intentions, then truth would have been their main aim. The one who makes truth his main aim and measures everything against that will definitely see the truth clearly and will follow it if he is fair-minded. وَمَثَلُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا كَمَثَلِ الَّذِي يَنْعِقُ بِمَا لَا يَسْمَعُ إِلَّا دُعَاءً وَنِدَاءً صُمٌّ بُكْمٌ عُمْيٌ فَهُمْ لَا يَعْقِلُونَ. The likeness of those who disbelieve is that of animals whom the herdsman calls, but they hear nothing except the sound of shouts and cries. Deaf, dumb, and blind, they do not understand. As Allah stated that they did not accept what the messengers brought, and the reason for that was their blind following of their forefathers. It becomes clear from that they were not receptive to the truth and did not respond to it. Rather, it is easy to conclude that they would never give up their stubborn ways. Allah tells us that people who respond in this manner when they are called to faith are like animals whom the herdsman calls, but they have no understanding of what the one who is calling them is saying. All they hear is the voice by which proof is established against them, but they do not understand it anyway. But they do not understand it in any way that could benefit them. Hence, they are deaf and cannot hear the truth. Hence, they are deaf and cannot hear the truth with any understanding. They are blind and cannot see in such a way that they could learn and ponder. They are dumb and cannot say what is good for them. The reason for all of that is that they have no sound reasoning. Rather, they are the most foolish and the most ignorant. Can any wise man who was called to right guidance, told to avoid evil deeds, warned against exposing himself to punishment, and enjoined to do that which will lead to his well-being, success, salvation, and bliss, can he disobey the one who is sincerely advising him, turning away from what his Lord enjoined upon him, throw himself willingly into the fire, follow falsehood, and turn away from the truth? Such a one does not possess any iota of common sense, and he is deceitful and shrewd. Rather, he is the most foolish of fools. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.